I think my earliest memory was as an 8-year-old schoolboy traveling from Stonehouse to Stroud for my first swimming lesson. And my first sight of the outdoor pool was this magnificent white walled fortress and the green barred gate when we went in. The first view of the pool water was like walking into, Wembley and seeing the turf for the first time. But then when you got inside the pool, that unmistakable odor of changing baskets, the clothes baskets, mixed in with chlorine as well. And then we stepped out onto the pool area, and it was just quite a magnificent sight. I think my next memory was plunging into ice cold water. Would have been in May 1961. Yeah, I was at Stonehouse Primary School, so we travelled there by bus, and it was a massive experience for us. It was the first time on a bus. We were going into that big metropolis called Stroud, and it was our first swimming lessons, together. So yeah, absolutely fantastic experience. As a 13, 14-year-old in 1966, 67, there was only one place to be during the summer holidays, and that was the Stratford Park outdoor pool. And I have to say, I went there with a gang of pals. We must have been an absolute nightmare for the lifeguards because we bombed, we pushed each other in, we splashed, we ducked each other, we ran around the pool. I mean, we would go um, many days, most days, probably during the school holidays, and at weekends you could hardly move. So although initially it was very cold when you got in, actually as the day wore on and the heat grew, the only place people wanted to be was in the water. And I can remember standing on the top of the Stroud diving board, looking down, and I was being blown at by a lifeguard, basically saying, "Jump or come back down." And if I'd have come back down, I would have lived in shame to this day. So I knew I knew I had to jump, and jump in I did, and there I'd broken my initiation ceremony. In 1975, the 1st of June 1975, Stratford Park Leisure Centre, which included the outdoor pool, opened to the public. And I was one of the original full-time lifeguards and sports assistants. I just done a stint in the army. I'd come back to my hometown and saw the advert, went for the job, and was appointed. But when you were out there on that outdoor pool, you were God. You had your yellow lifeguard vest on, you had your sunglasses, you had your baseball cap, your shorts, your flip flops, and you patrolled your kingdom. Um, but it wasn't all glamorous, I have to say, because behind the lifeguarding, there was, picking up the litter at the end of the day. There was all the cleaning and trying to return lost children to anxious parents. So I will always look back at Stratford Park with a great deal of fondness, and I'm really pleased that this film is being made and people's memories are being captured, because it really is vital that we protect and maintain these community facilities. It's not just about having them for uh, history or for posterity, but community cohesion and health and fitness, and the well-being, particularly of our young people. So anything we can do to ensure that the Stratford Park Pool, continues to flourish, I would love to support.
My memories of the Stroud outdoor pool start as a small child, being taken there by my mum with my brother and sister. In the small pool, always wanting to be in the big pool. Learning to swim when at the Black Boy Girls School, in the 3'6" shallow end, and wanting to be able to go under the rope to the deeper part. Representing archway in the swimming competition and winning. Then one glorious summer, 1966, when the Elias family ran the pool, myself and Jill helped at the pool in exchange for free entry. We scum channeled, worked in the changing rooms, cleaned and helped the lifesavers. And then at the end of the day, when everybody had gone home, we stayed and swam and played water polo. But by far the best perk was being able to walk past the exceedingly long queue and just enter without paying in the side gate. Brilliant. We were there to dive in with everybody else in the pool when England won the World Cup. They are great memories. Then taking my young children to the pool when they were younger and teaching them to swim.
And I like thinking about how it might have been used many years ago by all different families and different people in different circumstances. I like seeing groups of teenagers out doing healthy activities and having fun together. And I like that it's kind of down to earth, like Stroud is really. It's it kind of reflects kind of the spirit of the town. I don't think Stroud as a town is particularly pretty, but it's surrounded by beauty. And when you're in Stroud Lido, or it's Stroud swimming pool, you can see, all the hills around you and all the green around you. And the actual immediate surroundings aren't pretty. Obviously, there's a lot of concrete, but it's functional and it works. And it's just full of people who live there. It's not fancy. It's not expensive. You don't have to pay extortionate parking like at Cheltenham. There's no massive queues that you don't even know if you'll get to go some days at Cheltenham. You can just drive there in queue. So I like the fact that you can just turn up and have a really nice cold swim on a hot day. I think if it was open later in the evening during the summer, that would be fantastic because I could go once the children are in bed. And a longer season would be great because I enjoy cold water swimming anyway. So, that would be really helpful for me. It is one of the largest pools you can go to. And it's just fantastic if you are training for an event or if you just want to get fit. Being able to swim 50 meters without stopping at the side is the really good thing. And yeah, I just think it looks fantastic. You stand at one end where there's that little fountain and you look down at this great big long sparkly pool and you can see the hills in the distance and you just think, this is great, this is Stroud, it's all here for us.
I went to Ebley Primary School and in the final year, I distinctly remember going on, I think it was a Friday afternoon. So we'd walk up to Ebley Holt to catch the rail car. Of course, Ebley Holt has long since gone. Get on the rail car, and then it was 2 stops then along to Downfield. And then we'd walk in procession up the road onto Stratford Road and along to the swimming pool. And then when we got to the swimming pool, of course, we had to again queue up to get in. But one of the things I do remember is behind the reception desk there was a blackboard. And on that blackboard was the pool temperature. And that always caused a lot of muttering about it. Anything below 20 was really cold, but 20 and above was going to be a good day. And then we went our separate ways. The girls went, I think, to the right, the boys went to the left. Went into the changing rooms, and again, I seem to recall there used to be some metal sort of small cage things, boxes that you'd put your clothes in, and then they were handed in. So we had our swim, and that was when if you can call it that, I learned to swim. Now, when I say learn to swim, I think the best I could probably do in those days was about one width, and that took some doing. So yeah, so we'd have our time there, maybe half an hour to an hour. I don't remember how long it was so long ago. And then walk back to Downfield Holt to catch the rail car back to Ebley Holt. And that was the earliest memory of Stratford Park swimming pool. Although I do know I've got some photographs of when I was a toddler. And as a family, we used to go to the pool and meet some of my cousins. So, but I can't remember those days. All I've got is the photographic evidence. So that's it. In 1960, went off to Marley, and again, used to go there to meet some of my friends. And the Marley School had this, I suppose, swimming gala, you could call it, where we used to do a few races against each other. Yeah, it was a fantastic facility, I think, for the people of Stroud. And it was like, we obviously, we didn't have a local beach, but I identify it as somewhere which, had we lived at the seaside, we'd go down to the beach. But in Stroud, you went to Stratford Park, open air swimming pool. And the style of the that had the high board. I mean, I think it was in two intermediates were there, and a top one built onto this big arch. But in terms of the setting, yeah, you had Stratford Park, the trees and things all around you. In the distance, the Cotswold Hills, and yeah, in some ways, I think it was a fantastic facility. A lot of places have still got their Lidos, although a lot have long since gone. But for Stroud, yeah, architecturally and vista-wise, it was a fantastic setting.
It's an incredibly important place to me. It's a place that I have spent a lot of time, particularly over the last couple of years. And it's a place where I go quite regularly during the week, and it's my sanctuary, really. And it's an opportunity for me to kind of reset how I'm feeling, or just enjoy a moment of calm and really busy life with very young children and a busy day job and all of that. I really love the setting, and I really love the fact that it's got such a big sky at that Lido. There's something incredible about that space, and the way that you can be swimming along and you see the birds flying overhead, and you've got that sense of the trees and the park beyond. And also you're kind of surrounded by the valley, so you can't really see much urban space from that pool. And I particularly love and value that. I think it's really unusual that that pool is as large as it is. I think there are very, very few 50-meter Lidos left in the UK. I think that might even be Olympic size. Those extraordinary parabolic diving boards are beautiful. The shapes there, that kind of Art Deco shape, but also the way that the environment has been designed to look like kind of like a cruise ship. So you've got that beautiful curve of the reception area where it comes out like some kind of deck on a cruise ship, which is just really beautiful. And also the fountain at the end, that kind of constant trickling water that you can always hear when you're swimming.
I would be 5, 6, 7, going with my 3 elder brothers, and that would be with my mother, taking us to the pool one summer's day. We would catch the bus from Whitehill into Stroud, and then the bus stopped outside Lloyd's Bank, Woolworth, as was then, and then we would walk down Gloucester Street, Great Beeches Green, down through the park, beyond the port, the pond, up past the mansion house, and the building itself, all white rendered. There was no other building like the white rendered building in Stroud, all Cotswold stone and brickwork. This building was sort of completely different. And then you go in and you go girls to the right, boys to the left, into the changing room, handing your ticket, and you get a sort of a rubber ring with a disc on, which you put on your arm or your wrist or your ankle. Get changed, put your clothes in the wire basket, hand it back in. Wire basket seemed to get more squashed and crushed each year out into the main pool. I went to Robert's Pool first, and when that closed, became a secondary mother there in 49, I think it was. I went to Church Street Pool, and we went swimming lessons once a week from when the pool opened. So we would walk from Church Street School onward Chamble, down the High Street, down Gloucester Street, and back up to the park. Come rain or shine, it was always the same. Water was freezing cold. And the photograph that I gave you shows how cold it was. I mean, it was, that wasn't sort of rehearsed. Stroud Boys Tech, then the sort of pattern, once a week, when the pool was opened. The diving boards were always a fascination. Remember, it's a 3-meter board. Even when I was sort of 14, 15, they were still a long way up to me. But it was always a fascinating structure, that sort of arch one. It was a very great, strong feature of the pool. One evening a week or 2 evenings a week, the local polo club had it. So you all had to clear out. You could stop and watch on the sort of concrete terracing. And I was always impressed with the water polo team. They could dribble with the ball doing there. They could sort of tread water and throw the ball. Back in the 50s, there was strong water polo team. The school always had a swimming gala. So one morning, there would be the sort of 50 meters or different age groups. It was just crawl and breaststroke. But there was a swimming gala with the appropriate cups. And also the Scouts had a gala. So it was used by the school and the youth organisation with their swimming gala, which was sort of great. But again, that was a community use of the pool. And in the summer months, on a hot summer day, the pool was absolutely crowded. They would run out of changing baskets. I think they had to, stop people coming in because they had no more changing baskets. Every bit of grass and every bit of concrete was sort of had the towel on.
I can remember going there on the Sunday because my granddad said, because we lived in Downfield, which was just along the road from Stratford Park. And he said, I'm going to take you to see the new park, see what it's cost us, what ratepayers. My granddad was always keen on what was going on. Several friends of his were on the Stroud Urban District Council, it was called then. Remember this, it was a cold, misty afternoon, and the heated water in the pool, there's like steam coming up off the top of it. And we just walked round, and there was nobody in there swimming. It was open for people to walk round and see what the facilities were. And it was basically there was 4 buildings on each corner, and the diving stage was opposite as you walked in, and that was opposite the pool superintendent's office. Nobody could, by the time that it was really in its stride, the war had come along, and people couldn't go couldn't go away for holidays, so they had holidays at home, they used to call it. The council used to organise with concerts in the park. The swimming pool was open and all that, and people used to go to the park, and it was quite well used and everything. And the swimming club used to organise races in the park and water polo. Of course, it was on our doorstep, and instead of we go to the pictures, Mum, it was cheaper for my mother to buy a season ticket for me to go, and I could go anytime you could go in and use it. And I used to spend most of my summer holiday. Well, we had no summer holidays in those days because all the coasts were all no-go areas. And then when the war was over, lots of the members of the swimming club came back from the war, and the swimming club started up again because it sort of went into limbo during the war, and it started up again after the war in the 50s mainly.
I think there's 3 things that I would say that need to change to make the Lido more usable to the local people, or more widely usable. The first thing is about the opening times of the Lido. So certainly it needs to, I feel like it needs to open for a longer part of the year. It shouldn't shut at the beginning of September, perhaps moving into October. But also the kind of the times that it's open during the day, so it's often only open from 11 a.m. in the morning till about 6 o'clock in the evening, if I remember rightly. But anybody who works a normal day, can't actually access the Lido. And I think that's really problematic. A lot of people would love to go there before work. So kind of opening it up at 7 o'clock in the morning, I think would make a really big difference. The second thing I think would make a really big difference is cleaning the changing rooms and just repairing the ceiling boards. And they are really, really grotty. And I think that when I went there last year, it looked as if it hadn't been cleaned since the year before. And I was really shocked by that. I'm the kind of person who will happily go and change at the side of the pool, but I think I'm in a minority in that respect. Lots of people want to go, have a shower, get changed in the changing room, and then go off about their business. The third thing that I think would make the biggest difference actually to people using that Lido, having a heated pool. And I think that's what would really draw in the crowd if it was actually heated.